Matt Western.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and it's a pleasure to follow the member for Bolton West. Since 2010, rough sleeping has risen by 169% nationally, whilst the number of households accepted as homeless has increased by half. Incredibly, for the sixth largest economy in the world, approaching the third decade of the 21st century, there are now 120,000 children living in temporary accommodation. 2 weeks ago, the desperate issue of rough sleeping was made urgent and immediate to this House with the tragic death of Marcus Amaral Gurgel just yards from this place. This came just 4 short weeks after the equally tragic death of a woman in my constituency, Warwick and Leamington. Now, this may come as something of a shock to many in this place, but the reality is that according to government figures, Warwick District is the worst for homelessness in the whole of the West Midlands. In fact, in 2015 to 16, the local district council received 705 applications as statutory homeless, of which only 172 were accepted. This is against a housing waiting list of around 2,500 people. We are witnessing a humanitarian crisis on our streets. Rough sleeping and homelessness is in nearly every community, as we've heard from members across the chamber. It is clear that the causes of this crisis are many and complex in the case of tackling the explosion in rough sleeping. But fundamental, as many members have said, is the urgent need to build enough housing of the right mix and in the right place. And I accept that there has been a failure of successive governments to build enough housing. But it is really the crisis that has developed in this past few years, and one that has been fueled by the savage cuts to welfare in this country. The challenge to build sufficient housing needs greater ambition than that proposed by the Chancellor. Whilst 300,000 new homes per year may sound impressive, the harsh fact is that less than 2% of new builds will be council homes. Likewise, when the Prime Minister announced and was welcomed last September a £2 billion fund to invest in social housing, that just equates to 25,000 homes. It was clear that the ambition was perhaps not enough against the true need. Madam Deputy Speaker, I am committed to work to tackle this problem, both in my constituency and by extension nationally. Whilst I may not be able to alleviate the financial pressures of those who have seen cuts to their housing benefit, to their employment support allowance, PIP, or other support, I am determined to bring together all professional agencies and authorities to bring an end to this crisis in Warwick and Leamington. 2027 is too late. Like in Manchester, I really want us to resolve this collectively and collaboratively by 2020. In fact, in just 2 weeks' time, I will be holding a meeting with all those bodies, including mental health and homeless charities, addiction and recovery charities, as well as the 2 local authorities, and the manufacturer of low-cost prefabricated modular housing. And may I say that I found the comments by the member for Chichester particularly pertinent to that point, and also my colleague here to my right. Land, of course, is critical to this, and I have said before that we must insist or urge a change where local authorities are compelled to use their land exclusively for the provision of council and social housing. The truth is the public is angry at the inaction by the government in resolving this with urgency. The Homelessness Reduction Act brought by the Honourable Member for Harrow East is to be applauded, but the woeful lack of urgent action by the government to eliminate rough sleeping before 2027, I think, is viewed by the public as a disgrace. Critical now, as we've heard, is to build council housing on an industrial scale. There have just been 47 council homes built in Warwick and Leamington since 2010. And we must provide temporary refuge and accommodation for those sleeping on the streets and ensure that mental health and addiction services are properly funded, and that we put money back into supporting people's budgets, which have fallen by 45% since 2010. Finally, tomorrow sees the relaunch.
Order. The Honourable Gentleman can't have a finally, I'm afraid. He may have 2 words to conclude.
Thank you. 2 words. Tomorrow sees the relaunch of the members group across party in council housing. You are all very welcome to join us.